Now, this is going to be a regular feature in 2-6, so you'll know exactly what's in the pipeline and we'll be hearing what you think as well. So, Commander Barrand, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
So, what are the three main issues we're going to be discussing?
There's three items I'd like our people to know, if they're not already aware. The first one is about the new alcohol laws, which are coming in towards the end of this year. The second one is the future Armed Forces pension scheme. And the third one would be about the developing Royal Navy people strategy.
Let's kick off with the alcohol laws. What's happening there?
Well, the Armed Forces Act 11 gained royal assent at the end of 2011. And what this will allow is the MOD to introduce, for all three services, alcohol limits for specific safety critical duties. A lower limit, which is effectively 0, and that will apply to jobs such as aircrew, armed guards. And then the second limit, higher limit, is equivalent to the UK drink driving limit. And that will apply to duties such as bridge personnel, seaboat coxswains and other members of the duty watch.
So when the personnel are identified, are they actually tested before duty, or do you wait until an incident has occurred?
For these new laws, what we'll need is reasonable cause. We'll need an individual to be identified as potentially being over the limit, and then the officer of the day to authorise a test.
And what happens when these limits are hit or exceeded?
Once an investigation's occurred, then they could be subject to disciplinary action.
And do you know what form this testing will take place in?
The actual testing regime hasn't yet been decided. It's either going to be blood, urine, or our preferred is to breath test using breathalyzers.
There's a lot of people in MOD that want to bring in rules like this, but the Navy's very good at self-policing.
Deep down it was expected that there was some kind of regulation needed, and it's been a long time coming really.
People would be more aware of what they are drinking and their limit the next day, whether they can still do their job.
It shouldn't become an issue at all. The only people who become an issue for are those who disregard the rules.
The rules are getting so tight now, but we should be trusted with something like that. To show up fit for work.
I can understand why they're doing it, but it's like treating us like kids sort of thing.
I think if they're going to do it to everybody, don't just say, yeah, these people are going to get tested because they do this job.
Now, I know we've all seen in the newspapers the headlines about public servants striking over changes to their pensions, and of course naval personnel are public servants too. Yes. So will their pensions be affected as well?
Well, work is going on now for the future Armed Forces pension, and nothing will change until April 15. Your rights that you've accrued up until April 15 are protected, and that's been promulgated in a recent DIN. And the government are determined that any future pension scheme that the Armed Forces will get will be highly competitive and one of the best in either the public or the private sector.
And what changes can be expected?
Well, some elements of the future Armed Forces pension are already fixed, but other elements are up for negotiation now between the Ministry of Defence and government, such as early departure payments. And we've got the opportunity for us to become engaged during a consultation period.
And if personnel want to have their say and find out a little bit more about how it will affect them, what do they need to do?
Well, they can make contact with the future Armed Forces pension team on the internet or on the intranet.
I think they need to look closely at where the changeover point is and how it will affect, how changing over to the new pension scheme is going to affect people.
There are a lot of changes being put in place, we're aware of that. As they affect us, as of yet, we don't really know.
We could do with a greater degree of transparency to actually explain better how the changes are going to affect someone like me who's maybe still got 20 years left in the service.
It's changed twice in the space of 16 years. I can probably at least expect another change by the time I come to leave.
Don't understand it. I'm just going to wait till I get to the end of my career and see how much money I get.
Finally, I know it's been a demanding and challenging year for all naval personnel, so what's your new people policy?
Well, over the last few months, we've held a number of roadshows and focus groups. When we add that feedback to feedback we received, such as continuous attitude surveys, the DNPS and DNPERS teams together are formulating a new Royal Navy people strategy, which is also known as a plan for people.
So you're actually making sure people are happy on a personal level as well as a professional level. You're giving them the whole package.
The aim is for a whole package. It will draw in things like our existing terms and conditions of service and how they might change in the future. It will draw in things like branch management, a future vision, to ensure that the operational capability of the Royal Navy and Royal Marines in the future is preserved, and our people are at the very heart of that.
With a smaller Navy and us having to do a lot more high-powered operations and being away a lot more, I think there has been a lot more focus on making sure that people get home and they get that that balance.
If you're shoreside, you should still get your travel allowance and that though, because obviously you still live miles and miles and miles away, but you still need to get home at the end of the day.
When it comes down to courses and things as well, they've got paid thousands of pounds to do that I can do for nothing.
I feel like, yeah, they are looking after us at the moment, but with a little bit of time, everything seems to be just shaved off a little bit to save money.
Now with the redundancies looming over our heads as well, it's just like, they sort of look after you, but on the other hand, could be out of a job by the end of the year.
I think in general the Navy's not too bad at looking after people, like, I'd like to think so.
You know, you can get thrown into anything, absolutely anything. I mean, the Olympics is one really good example of that.
Obviously dental and medical saves you a fortune.
Things like if you're married and you're young, you get married quarters, it's cheap.
It's just the experience and the friends and journeys you go through more than, I would say, the pay that people must look forward to.
Well, they're your views, but if you want to discuss any of these areas further, then please register to use the forum at the new RN community page, which can be accessed through the new Royal Navy website. And don't forget to get your families to re-register too, because this is also for them and ensures that we don't compromise operational or personal security.